When I first came here, we were, a hippie, back to nature, self-sufficient thing. We were watching too many Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone movies, and reading too much Thoreau. We were trying to seek a different vision. The first time I saw bean collections and so on, it was like, whoo, a jewelry store, lit up, and I've always just been dazzled by diversity. I don't like people that are all straight, all gay, all communist, all Christian. Let them all be there, and absolutely the different kinds of seeds. My great-grandfather was a farmer. Looking through our family photo album, I just wish that I could somehow step into that photo, say, hi, great-grandma, that's me, Billy, and can I have some of these? And because I know for a fact that 90-something% of the things are now extinct. They're my family, and they're gone. I have this horrible vision someday that the Creator would look down and come look around and say, well, where is this? Well, where did that go? I created this. Where did it go? How come it's not here? I see myself as Noah, not God. Noah didn't get to decide whether the crocodiles came on the ark or not, or the black flies. His job was to load them on, okay? That's my job. I have thousands of varieties that I'm maintaining. People of the future, plant breeders and gardeners, they will decide, what the heck did Will save that for? I don't get to make that decision. My job is to keep these all on the ark, keep them alive for 40 days and 40 nights until the flood's over. I may discover 10 years from now that seed will be in huge demand because it has in its genes some resistance to some disease which is only now evolving. In many, many cases, what I've got is not available anywhere else.
He's my sweetheart.
The year that I fail to grow a variety is the year it is lost to me. And in some cases, perhaps lost to the planet. Some of these things are right on the edge of extinction. We have this collection of several hundred potato varieties. Potatoes that are purple or black skin with yellow flesh, some with a purple skin, hot pink streaks in them. We have in the collection is a variety of lumpers. Most of the Irish in the 1830s and 40s were growing lumpers, big yielder. And none of those varieties had any resistance to late blight. This is the potato that killed 1 million Irishmen because of the fact that there were 1 or 2 or 3 varieties that were totally vulnerable. This is the variety that explains why O is the biggest section of the South Boston phone directory. Genetic diversity is the hedge between us and global famine.
The diversity in our seed stocks is as endangered as a panda or a golden eagle or a polar bear right now. We have the largest seed shortage in history.
It is this beautiful dance between the plant and the humans that find each other and make a culture possible. In Mesoamerica, over 10,000 years ago, corn found humans and humans found corn.
Corn really is this beautiful co-creation between plants and humans. The domestication of corn was centered in the Oaxacan Valley of Mexico. The incredible evolutionary leaps that we took with corn is a miracle. It ignited the sacred connection that we had with seeds. Corn seeds moved along the entire spine of the Americas. It became this revolution. It became this new way of being able to feed ourselves.
It's what fueled you from a small tribe to an empire. It took 4,700 years to get it to the US border. Then, about 1,000 years ago, corn is everywhere in what we now call the United States.
As keepers of the corn has come up with us through our migrations, sustaining us. Our first mothers were the blue corn and white corn woman. This is my grandmother, my grandfather, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my kids, my grandkids, and myself. We all are one.
Indian people, we talk in one language, the language of the seeds. And my grandfather told me one time, this is very important for life. And he put me, before he died, he put me held full of the seeds in my hand, and he said, this is life. And put always in your pocket, because if you have seeds in your pocket, you can walk and you can eat the seeds. But if you have money, you cannot eat the money. When we have to eat, we give a little bit to the area. I am working now for 7 years in Tesuquipol. We lost our seeds, we lost our food. But when you're losing the seeds, you're losing completely your traditional ways of eating. In all these bags you see, we have different type of the seeds. This celery was no one seed. 7 years, we fill up with our work, with our sweat. And this is food for the future. This is gold. The seeds, they are not very happy because they are one in the top of the other one. They are beginning to tell us we need a new house. A place where they can have a home like us.
Native Seed Search is a seed bank. Most of the seeds came to us through Native Americans. As modern creatures, we're in debt to that. They were the last expression of these stewards going back thousands of years that took care of these things and made sure that we got them. I had somebody the other day call this Fort Knox. There's just so much wealth in here. It's about 2,000 different varieties of invaluable agricultural crops. All 38 generations, all this energy comes down into the seed, you get a hold of it, and then all the future and the millions more that can come out goes out. And you're at that point when you hold those seeds in your hands. Right here is the mother corn. This is the ancient ancestor from which all corn came. And that's what we're losing. I mean, we just don't have the time left, again, on this small planet to recreate all this stuff. That's why it's so invaluable. Once it's gone, it's gone. Seeds are living embryos. They do have a lifespan. We try to grow everything out every 10 years. That's why we have the 60-acre farm here.
We are hugely vulnerable with all of those seeds. You think about crimes against humanity, blow up a seed bank and war. It becomes an immediate target to weaken a country.
When we invaded Iraq, we destroyed that seed bank, and we destroyed that garden, and we destroyed that repository of the great ancient seeds that had been collected by that government for the benefit of mankind.
During World War II, Hitler was aiming to conquer Nikolai Vavilov's seed bank in St. Petersburg. And the people associated with that seed bank holed themselves up in the building and kept those seeds protected, even though they were starving to death and missiles and bombs were landing all around them.
Svalbard has been called the doomsday seed vault. The idea was to have a backup, like the ultimate backup, just in case this seed bank is destroyed or there's catastrophic cultural and economic collapse. We see all the seed banks in the world looted just for food, and they need their seeds back. But the problem with it is that we think that we don't have to worry about this now. It gives a false sense of security.
All the gene banks, they are all arcs. Ultimately, life does not go on an arc. I'm not confident that any of us have got something long-term in place that can weather the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune that might come our way.
We're now facing severity of climate change, the most radical we've had since the last ice age. This is happening at an unprecedented rate, and it's putting pressure on the diversity of life forms.
You know, this is the driest they have seen since 119 years.
The Golden State's drought, the worst in over 1,000 years.
In northern New Mexico, we had a series of drier and drier years. Normally, this time of the year, we're going to get ready for planting, but where there's not any moisture, usually you'll hit a wet spot. A lot of the animals begin to feel the effects of the drought. They consume probably about a third of our corn and all of our beans, so it's tough for everybody.
Our corn is among the few places that is environmentally adapted to drought. The Hopi grow corn with no irrigation. One day, our corn will become very, very valuable to human survival. My father said, "Son, never, never let go of the corn. When I pass on, carry on the way of the corn." Crow damage, but we still bring it in. Everything is brought in. The Hopi women and men say that even this little one here is special because every corn seed has life. And I'll plant these.
Yeah.
I'll plant this. We don't throw them away.
Wow.
We take care of them. They may be calling me daddy and say, "Daddy, I'm glad I'm here with you," because these are my children. In the womb, human people are seeds. We see the seeds being planted into the womb of the Mother Earth.
It was very, very fortunate when I was a child. It was a fantastic tree. My tree began from a tiny little seed. And I spent hours and hours up in the branches of that tree. And how magic that it could actually grow into a big tree. That tree is still in the garden today. Seeds are so crafty. There is a power, it's a magic. To me, it's magic. It's a life force so strong. There are seeds that rely on fire. There are seeds that tangle up in the hair of an animal. They get carried for miles. There are seeds that can't germinate unless they pass through the gut of an animal. Darwin was amazed that a seed grew after it had been 21 hours in the stomach of an owl.
A seed is a doorway between the life of the old plant and its gift to the new plant. Our teachers are the plants, and they're teaching us that they have to sacrifice themselves in order to be able to give something to the next generation. It's a form of reincarnation.
Come on in. Come on in. Hello, hello. Come on in. Welcome to my humble abode.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Check it out. Check it out. This is how we roll. That's why they call me the corn. They call me the corn hippie.
Guys, this is unbelievable.
There's so much corn here. I mean, right here in these bags right here, this one has 87
oh my gosh, what in the hell is
87 different kinds of corn from Urubamba Valley.
Oh my gosh.
This is from the Sacred Valley. I get certified with a phytosanitary from the Peruvian government, and once we get it certified, then we're ready to ship it wherever we want to send it.
Peeps, that's astounding. Look at that fava.
For all the crazy people like me who sit there at night and look at bags of beans, it leaves us a mystery.
This is so precious. No one even has an idea how much they're like jewels. They look like polished agates. Look at this one.
Must be artistic genius of nature that allows this to happen.
I gotta sleep with this one.
When I was 6 years old, my parents asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I said, well, I want squash. I didn't want a G.I. Joe, and I didn't want a baseball bat. I wanted squash. And I wanted those because I wanted to save the seeds and grow them. My seeds are my kitchen table. My seeds are my way of sharing food with people all over the world. I've been to over 100 countries, collecting thousands and thousands of seeds. Here from Bolivia, looking like a speckled robin's egg. This bean here from Tanzania. One that's coming from Zimbabwe. Variety raised by the West Virginia hillbillies. And this exquisitely sculptured seed of a trichosanthes gourd from Vietnam. The seed is a time capsule. It's preserving things from the past, but it's also bringing things for the future.
And this is,
I feel I have an obligation to the world, whether that's unbalanced or not, to bring this appreciation to as big a swath of humanity as possible.
This tiny little skinny tree with really large leaves is in the cacao family. Same plants that produce chocolate.
And this is just a distant relative of cacao that still hasn't been commercialized. What if there's all kinds of other seeds in nature that have the potential for food production?
Way down there. Oh. Feel the end of it?
Yeah.
You hold them. This is what we just harvested. Where is it, right here?
Okay, this is called picharina, and it's for being used on cuts and sores, and it almost has the look of iodine.
There's about 300,000 species of plants on the planet. We come down to 30,000 different edible plants.
Put them in your mouth like this, just kind of suck on them and...
120 are used on a really regular basis. And most of humanity subsists on a mere 10. Beans, corn, wheat, barley, and rice. Virtually nothing compared to the bigger picture. We should put particular attention to the seeds of wild plants and figure out how we can get those into cultivation, because they're part of the biodiversity heritage that will feed the world.
Take them out of there, Patrick.
Back in 1700s, Thomas Jefferson wanted to get seeds of risotto rice. And it was thanks to slyness that he was able to carry out some of this contraband seed and raise it near Monticello in the New World.
In the 1890s, of over 1 billion packets of seed were distributed for free to farmers around the country. The American Seed Trade Association hired the very first lobbyist to stop the federal seed giveaway, as they called it. By 1924, the federal government seed program would cease.
These great industrialists said the only way we can really make profit on American agriculture is to invent a seed that they can't save.
And that gave birth to the hybrid seed industry.
Farmers took it for granted that we go to a shelf in the store to buy our seeds. A profound change, because seed is the beginning of all of it. If you're relying on someone else for your seed, then it's like you're relying for someone else on your soul or something. This is where it all starts. To not control that part of it is a major abdication of control and responsibility, and yet we did it wholesale.
It destroyed the natural seed banks and the seed practices of the farmers. Hybrid corn was the atom bomb of agriculture.
Right after the Second World War, the Green Revolution starts in Mexico. When you hear about the Green Revolution, people sometimes think, well, that's about windmills and, tofu-powered sandals or whatever it is. The green in the Green Revolution was never about environmental consciousness. The green was meant to be the opposite of a red revolution. This is about developing kinds of seed that matter for large-scale commercial farmers wherever they are, to provide cheap food so that people would remain capitalists and would not riot and become communists. The Green Revolution was taking this rich knowledge of peasant farming that evolved over millennia and tossing it into the dustbin of history, replacing it with modern industrial agriculture.
Seeds of the Green Revolution, what are called the miracle varieties, they were bred for taking up more chemicals. The hungry industry of war chemicals, wanting to deploy these chemicals as agri-chemicals, trying to push chemicals into agriculture.
90% of the seed that we use to grow our food is owned by chemical companies, by pesticide and pharmaceutical companies. Now there's a huge conflict of interest. When the chemical companies own the seeds, they not only want you dependent on the seed as a farmer, but they also want you dependent on their chemicals. We use 80 million pounds a year of atrazine just in the US. atrazine leads to promoting breast cancer. It's associated with miscarriages and birth defects. We should have learned this lesson way back with DDT. And we're just learning it over and over and over and over and over again.
I live in a community that consists of pure Native Hawaiian native speakers. Native Hawaiians had this incredible agricultural system able to sustain 3 times today's population. Well, now I would say the biotech industry, these chemical corporations are king in Hawaii. Biotech chemical seed companies came in and took over agriculture. It alarmed me. There's hundreds and hundreds of acres where these chemical corporations test their seed. Then I started to experience very bad allergies, migraines, and illnesses, just not being able to get over colds. My doctor said, oh, you have full-blown adult asthma. When I started to see that the farmers were spraying pesticides, they are spraying things at night while we're sleeping. My 2 daughters wake up with blood-soaked pillows, 18 tons of restricted pesticides being dumped right next to schools and neighborhoods.
I'm a teacher at Waimea Canyon Middle School for the past 18 years. There's ag lands adjacent to our campus. It is literally 100 yards upwind of our school. That's the field that they were spraying, and we can actually feel the mist. During PE, a cloud of gases came over them, and kids just started dropping. There was chaos on campus. It was horrific. There wasn't enough room in the health room. About 140 children were seeking assistance. Teachers came together and stood up. Stop poisoning our children.
Monsanto, Dow, DuPont in Hawaii and elsewhere, they've got a blank check to experiment with any kind of chemical they want on these test plots. You've got the most toxic insecticides, virtually unregulated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Here you have agricultural policy absolutely linked to the hip to the biotechnology industry and to Monsanto's interests. The revolving door between Monsanto and government is going so fast, it's almost dizzying.
The corporations, they said, we want to really own these seeds. We want patents on life.
Monsanto takes one gene out of tens of thousands of genes, changes that and says, no, now we own the whole plant. It's one of the most extraordinary giveaways, giving corporations the natural reproduction of all life forms, saying you can make a profit on every one of those reproductions. So they don't just own the seeds. They own all of the offspring of those seeds and patent them forever.
The threat is there by conglomerates to patent our seeds, legally saying they own it because they're the first to patent it. We're the custodians of this knowledge in the corn, and how dare others take it away?
Once these corns get contaminated, there's no way you can breed it out. The only safe thing to do is actually incinerate. You know, I wouldn't feed it to animals. I wouldn't compost it because it's in the DNA. It's an abuse to seeds and to us as indigenous people.
Genetically modified plants. It's doing something which isn't natural in the plant world. Genes from a completely different species are being introduced into these plants And the plant fights. The plant is not happy to receive an alien species.
The genetic engineers can take genes from the pig and force it into the tomato. They've taken genes from spiders and put it into goats. They've taken human genes and put it into rice and corn.
You can't see the difference between genetically engineered corn and non-genetically engineered corn. This is not seeable by a consumer. Independent scientists were beginning to see indications that consuming genetically engineered foods could have kidney and liver damage. We're seeing possible reproductive issues in laboratory animals. Now we're beginning to see problems that could come from them. Wheat was the holy grail for companies like Monsanto. If they could have had all the wheat in the United States be genetically engineered, that was really the holy grail.
Wheat farmers decided we did not want them to release a genetically modified wheat. We don't have to take the chance to fool with the genetic modified plants. And we said, no, we don't want it, and now we've got it.
We thought this had been put to bed. We thought those wheat seeds had been destroyed. Apparently not.
The Department of Agriculture have told us, don't worry, we can keep these seed trials confined. And time again, they have failed to do so, and they have escaped.
Once you take that stuff out of the laboratory, there's 1,000 things that can go wrong that lets that seed get away.
As far as a duck can fly, they eat seed and they excrete that seed, and that seed grows in a place where it wasn't intended. You can't pull it back. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
International wheat markets shut down for months. That cost farmers hundreds of millions of dollars. USDA opened an investigation. They've never been able to discover how the genetically engineered wheat got in the farmer's field.
If our wheat is contaminated, I'm out of business.
When seed started to become a patented property sold by corporations, you destroy seed freedom. Monsanto started to buy up Indian seed companies. 60 Indian seed companies can only sell Monsanto seeds. The companies will take video vans into the villages. They had every Indian epic, and they would very cleverly sell the seeds. So Hanuman is carrying white gold, the seeds of Monsanto. So when Hanuman comes as a salesman of Monsanto, they believe in them. So that was the first strand through which they took over. Then they also told the farmer, why are you using these old seeds? Sell them to us. In one season, this thing they call seed replacement has destroyed the entire native seed supply. You have a seed dictatorship established. Then the farmer can't get out. We could have very, very large-scale famine, but unlike all famines of the past, no resurrection. Because every famine of the past, seed was always there. This time's famine will be based on a seed famine.
मेरा नाम सुमन खलखो है और मैं रांची झारखंड की रहने वाली हूँ। बेटी हूँ, मैंने पली बढ़ी हूँ। बाबा विकलांग है तो उनको हमारे पास बहुत बीज हो गए, उनको हम कहे कि माँ को बीज बचाना, उनको कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, उनको चुपके से लाते थे। मेरी माँ को पता नहीं चलता था कि वो बीज लाई है या तो लोग रासायनिक खाद के बारे में बताते थे कि ऐसा खाद डालने से खेती अच्छा होता है, पौधा अच्छा बनता है, ऐसे बोल के। पहले तो मेरे भैया ने लोगों को देखते थे कि वो लोग केमिकल खेती कर रहे हैं, तो उनसे कि जब मेरे भैया ने बोले कि केमिकल करेंगे तो था कि नहीं, केमिकल करना नहीं है। बोले तो वो मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं थे कि उनसे नहीं होगा खेती। हम लोग को भी कर्ज में डूबना पड़ेगा। मैंने दिल तक अंदर से चोट लगा था। मेरे बड़े बाबा लगते थे, बैंक से लोन लिए थे, बीज खरीद के खेत में डाले, बारिश अच्छी नहीं हुई तो उनका फसल नहीं हुआ तो उनको उनका दिमाग काम करने नहीं लगा, एकदम पूरा पागल की तरह हो गया। उसके बाद जब वो केमिकल मैंने जो दवा लाए थे सब्जी में डालने के लिए, उन्हीं दवा को पी के सुसाइड कर लिए। जानकारी मिला तो हमको बहुत बुरा असर पड़ा। हम अपने उनको जब वैसा देखे तो हम अपने भैया के बारे में सोचने लगे।
मेरा पूंजी नहीं है तो हम लोग जो कम पूंजी है, हाइब्रिड वाला बीजा है तो रखने से वो घुन लग जाता है, वो दोबारा होता है। आज ये हाइब्रिड वाला है दोबारा नहीं होता है।
We have lost 270,000 farmers to suicide.
The future of Hawaii is all at stake. Everything I love is being threatened. I'm fighting for the whole island. Say something or die. 6,000 people, they're out of the love of their heart. For our children, for our land.
These chemical corporations occupy lands that are considered very sacred to Native Hawaiians. Our land, our aina, and everything that comes from it, that's our ancestor. There really will be nothing left for our children if no one was willing to speak up.
I met with the chemical companies. They would say, no, we're not experimenting with pesticides. They tell me this is safe, there's nothing wrong with this stuff. Could you tell me what you're spraying? And they refused to tell me. The more these companies would lie to me, I had to do something. And that's when we started piecing Bill 2491 together.
Could any of you disclose to me the amount of general use pesticides that you use on an annual basis? I asked you an hour ago how much general use pesticides you're using, and you said no with your silence.
I would say that I don't think I would want to comply with the bill as is.
My second son here was born with an extremely rare heart defect. Our son was dying. All I know is that while pregnant, I took every precaution to grow a healthy baby inside of me. By not passing this bill, you're telling me I don't have the right to know. If I had known, I would have chosen not to expose my unborn child as I innocently worked day in and day out in Kekaha.
My son has a condition called gastroenteritis. Basically, the stomach's on the outside. I don't blame anybody, but I just want to stop the poisoning and bring a baby into the world that's got to get cut open right away. Children don't deserve this.
The trust is gone for these companies. The trust is gone. And I don't know how they're going to gain the trust back other than backing this bill and working with the community.
They are suing the county of Kauai for the right to spray poisons next to schools. And these are the largest companies in the world. So we're going to have a huge battle.
They're fighting for a profit. We're fighting for our lives. And those who fight for their lives do not give up. Do not let down. Never say no.
64 countries around the world have some form of labeling of genetically engineered foods. The United States does not. Monsanto and the other companies are so frightened of labeling because once people have a choice, why would they choose a product that only offers them risks and no benefits?
No one said, give me GM food. Anyway, this has never been voted for by any community anywhere in the world. Americans are being denied the right to know. Took inspiration from Gandhi. Gandhi had dealt with the smaller imperialism of the British by taking out the spinning wheel. And he said, we will be free, we will spin our own cloth. And I said, we will save our own seed. The seed will be the spinning wheel of our times. We have launched a campaign this year for a global alliance for seed freedom. We need to protect the diversity, integrity, and freedom of life. Give seed its own freedom so that we as humans can have our freedom. Our community seed banks are both the networks of farmers as well as the distribution network for moving seed wherever it's needed. More than 110 community seed banks have started. If there's a drought, getting drought-resistant seed. If there's a flood, getting flood-resistant seed. So these are seeds of hope. These are seeds that do not lock you into debt.
हमको ना धान्य का पता तो स्कूल वंदना शिवा ने ये जैविक खेती के बारे में बता रहे थे और मुझे यहाँ आके कि हम अपना खेती को और कैसे बेहतर कर सके और जो उपज होगी वो हमारे लिए फायदेमंद होगी, हमारे जीवन के लिए स्वस्थ होगी।
You know, there's that Garth Brooks song, The Rodeo. Well, for me, the rodeo is going out into the wilderness and finding things to eat. It's like an obsession that never ends. Big, huge treasure hunt. When people say, how do we feed a hungry world? What about the wild things? The devil's claw. We don't want to get the sap. Holy moly! This is a male plant! So this baby is pollinating somebody else. Let's see who it's pollinating. Look at him, man! Look at that little watermelon! I've been waiting to get these seeds for probably 15 years. And you would not imagine that this would grow out in the desert. So a seed in this case is extremely precious. And what does that mean? It's worth as much as gold. This is called the Gemsbach cucumber, and these are one of the treasures of the desert. It should be edible. Now, if they're green, what I've heard is they're gonna burn the crap out of your mouth. You gonna try the first one? Do we have a spoon?
Oh, look at it.
Okay. Sweet?
What's it taste like?
Tastes terrible. Does it taste bad? Yeah. Oh, you got to poke a hole in them so they don't explode. Look at that. They're the original botanists, aren't they? I'm nothing. All I'm doing is learning it in books and wanting to find out about it, but they're knowing everything about it. It's bigger than he said, probably. There's a group effort digging up this monster. This is the incredible Marama bean. Produces tubers up to 500 pounds. About 10 pounds? It is a future potential food crop unlike any other on the planet. The people in the Kalahari depend upon this for their very survival. It doesn't need water for 3 years and it can still survive. can go back eons and be like a hunter walking out here when he was just surviving with the elements. Strange thing to get impressed with, but I'm impressed. We do have a beautiful world, and something like this to me, it's just a marvel of the planet we live on.
Дорогой дальною, да ночью лунною, да песней той, что вдалеке звенят. I don't suppose anyone's up for the Merry Dwarfs, probably, eh?
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know.
Enough of us.
Timing is all important. It's like with seed saving. Time is a big deal. Ready? Let's hear it now. I hope like the Merry Dwarfs are
short.
It's off to the woods we are. Seed saving is all about sex. And humans are all obsessed with sex, even if it's rutabaga sex. Even Cyrus, I'm going to come fix your plumbing. I'm sure we know for a fact you can hire someone to make love to your spouse, for example, and they'll sure as hell do a better job than you will. But no, somehow we feel like, nah, I really want to do that myself. Some things are just too important. This is right up there with making love to your spouse. So this is the office where all my stuff is stored. I don't know quite how many thousands of variety samples of seeds are here. I never can seem to get enough rutabagas. I've tried to level off in recent years to something that I can handle. Sometimes thought that if the house were to catch on fire and I had to do something very, very quickly, hopefully I would first make sure that all the family were safely out. But somehow I'm deep inside, I'm afraid that I would probably rush in here, smash out the windows and start throwing boxes of seeds out to the firefighters and hope they understood what to do with them, then turn the hoses on them or something. I see no end in sight except when I'm cremated. That concerns me sometimes. Who will take this over?
ये सब करने में हमको तो 6 साल पूरा लग गया और पूरा खेत में खेती लगाना है। मैंने वही निर्णय लिए और मेरा भैया हमको अपना बीज बचाना चाहिए। भैया मान गए तो हमको ये तो खुशी की बात कि हम वहाँ जाएंगे और इसको जो सीखे उनको मैं पूरे अपना क्षेत्र में फैलाना चाहती हूँ। बस कोई किसान के पास जो हमारे पास जो बीज है वो बीज दूसरे किसान के अपने एक दूसरे को हम अपना बीज मदद कर सकते हैं।
Jack and the Beanstalk is a true story. The idea we all laughed at that he would trade his pig or his cow or whatever for a handful of beans is like, what a silly thing is that? But if you think about the potential of the self-replicating system that's in your hand and what it could potentially produce, we should all trade in everything we have for a handful of beans. I woke up one night about 3 o'clock in the morning. I sat up straight in my bed and I went, oh, seed school. We got to teach this stuff. We got to open up a space and teach them what we know. I'm going back to the 10,000-year-old way of doing it. To have everybody everywhere saving and storing and sharing their own seeds.
When we teach about seeds, we rewrite ourselves back into that evolutionary dance between plants and humans. We initiate a whole new generation of people who care for life. Since the seed's asking to be spoken for again. As a Mohawk woman, seeds embody this sense of hope for the future that we could create something different, a new paradigm for our children. We have to make that promise to the corn that we will nourish ourselves from it, but we will also give back.
All these seeds, they're going to move his new house. We have I will say, the blessing of the Great Spirit, the Mother Earth, all the protectors and the spirit from this land. And they say, you guys, they have to finish the seed bank. Stone by stone, or mud by mud, we have this building. The seed bank, it represents life. All the seeds, they have memory. They're happy in this moment.
Those young men and women are carrying on the tradition of our community. And I see the young people happy. And the corn is happy. The birds are happy. Because that's who we are.
It's time for us to take back that manna. It's so important to get back to our food source. Take back that ability to self-sustain, as our ancestors once did.
This food forest here could feed hundreds of people. We could be the self-sustainable epicenter of the world, and there's no reason we can't be. We can grow any fruit or vegetable on these islands. As a team, as a family, you can accomplish anything.
And we went from this much diversity, took 10,000 years to create, down to this pinch with only 4% left, and we're right here, right? And so we're waking up, we're gonna do this. It's knowing that in each individual seed is the potential to change it all back.